had the amazing opportunity to bring Fury to life. She is the third horseman from the new Darksiders game. It was really incredible to bring this amazingly and heroic character to life with this amazingly detailed armor.
We got a lot of really good references from THQ Nordic, and they also released some videos and in-game footage which made it possible for us to see how the armor moves and how everything is put together.
For building Fury, we had to make a lot of different steps and use various techniques. We combined 3D modeling, 3D printing, sculpting, casting, foam work, electronics, painting and doing all the attachments and even more. The collar was the most challenging part for me. It had to fit perfectly to my neck and my face, so I used my face cast and directly sculpted the piece on the face cast with oil-based clay. Sculpting this piece took me some days because it can get very tricky when you have to sculpt symmetrically. I really did my best to make the surface as clean as possible, but for me it was still not clean enough. So I made a brushed-on silicone mold with a fiberglass jacket, casted the color out of resin and just cleaned up the cast and sanded and primed the surface until I was happy with the result. Then I just repeated the molding process and made the final piece out of a semi-rigid resin. I'm not sure if I hate or love this part of the costume. I mean, the design is amazing, it looks very pretty, but it's not that comfy to wear.
One of the main challenges when bringing a character from the video game world to real life is to find the right proportions and do all the scaling right. Fury's armor was completely 3D modeled. A few months ago we made a 3D body scan of Laura, which is really nice because now we are able to fit all armor parts perfectly to her body. One great thing about 3D printing, in my opinion, is that you can start modeling the next part while the printer is still working, and you can create some really high quality costumes with it. But 3D printing, it's actually not just turning on your 3D printer and start to print something. I think most people forget that you have to 3D model your armor parts first, and they forget about all the work that goes into every single piece after the printing process. I mean, we spent several weeks only for sanding and priming.
The last 4 weeks before Gamescom we had a heat wave here in Germany, and it was like 34 degrees here in our workshop for weeks. So the only way to survive this was to work half naked or wearing a cold and wet towel on our shoulders.
Fury has a very long upper body and a very slim waist, like most of the female video game characters. So the most challenging part here for me was to model the armor parts for the core set and to make them fit to Laura's proportions at the same time. It wasn't easy, but of course I made it.
To check if everything fits to my body, we just printed out all parts and taped them on the mock-up core set we got from Royal Black Couture. I asked her to make the core set for me because she's the real master. Of course, I wanted to make the core set as comfy as possible, so I molded every single piece and casted all parts with the same semi-rigid resin I also used for the neck piece. The leather corset was made by Royal Black Couture. Barbara is a really nice person and she's a real pro in making corsets. Mine fits just perfectly and it looks so amazing. She also made the leather piece for the spine, which is attached to the lacing. For gluing all parts on the corset, I used very strong epoxy glue. Except of the breastplate, which needed to be detachable for the electronics, so I attached it with magnets and straps. There are these leather pads on the back, which were cut out with our laser cutter, and I also just attached them with epoxy glue. I think the corset is the part which I'm most proud of because it combines so many different techniques and it was a real challenge for both of us.
It took us about 3 weeks to clean up, prime and sand all armor parts of Fury, and then Laura could finally start with the paint job. That's always Laura's favorite part. She's really dedicated when it comes to choosing the right colors and always switches between spray paint, airbrush, or sometimes she just uses her fingers, and often I don't even know what she's doing right now. When it comes to painting, you should always work in different layers. And adding weathering is also super important. It just gives your armor more depth and brings out all the details.
I knew that Fury's high heels would kill me at Gamescom, but you want to look perfect, you want to look exactly like the character, so I had to wear high heels. So for the shoe armor, I decided to use foam because it's super lightweight and easy to work with, and it's just perfect for shoes. And with some paint you can make foam look like metal. Yeah, the whip! It was the most interesting prop we ever built, but no really, we had a lot of fun building it and we also tried out some new materials. The handle and the blades of the whip were also 3D printed, and instead of printing 30 blades, I molded and casted them. I used a flexible foam, which is such an amazing material, it makes your props convention proof. So you cannot hurt anybody with your wobbly blades.
Fury's whip has a magical glowing rope. So we took a silicone tube and added programmable LED strips inside. The problem was nothing sticks to silicone, so we had to figure out how to attach the blades to the silicone tube. We ended up making little metal anchors which were added to the blades and then pushed through the silicone tube. We not only wanted to light up the rope, but also wanted to have the opportunity to add some fancy animations. For that I added the microcontroller to the LED strip, and that makes it possible to animate the LEDs. So when you now push the button, you get this fancy impulse.
Fury has this massive glowing hair, and I'm not that into wig styling, so I asked Baka Cosplay to make the wig for me. She visited us in our workshop and worked on the wig. It was really cool to see how it was made. I really learned a lot. The finished styling on the wig looks amazing, and I'm still so surprised how lightweight the whole thing turned out. Which is great because I had to wear it for several hours on the convention. Baka's really the master of wig styling. Together we added the LEDs, and the LEDs in the wig are also programmable, so we are able to change the colors or also add some nice effects. The whole costume turned out so amazing, and we are so happy and thankful that we got the chance to bring this awesome character to life.